Hey there, if you have Gemini ruling your seventh house, we're going to talk about what that means for your relationships of all kinds. Welcome, I'm Rachel Hardy. Let's talk first about what Gemini energy is, how it shows up in the seventh house, the different ways that it can show up, and what this means about your relationships and your partnerships of all kinds. So, Gemini energy is all about the words, about ideas, teaching, learning, communicating. Think lots of energy of information, lots of ideas. Gemini also rules things like publishing, podcasting, creating online courses, putting work out into the world, especially through the energy of words in all the ways. A challenge of Gemini energy can be becoming too scattered, going surface level rather than going fully into the depth of what is being taught or shared. But Gemini energy is never boring. It is constantly looking for the newest idea, looking for what is interesting and exciting and fun to explore on a mental level. So if your first house is in Sagittarius, that means your seventh house is in Gemini. So let's talk about Sagittarius energy real quick. Sagittarius energy is about owning your own truth. It's about higher truth. If Gemini is all of the ideas, Sagittarius asks, yes, and what is true for me? Sagittarius also rules higher learning, philosophy, religion. It also governs travel, especially intercultural, cross-cultural travel and ideas. So there's an expansiveness of the learning and a landing of what is true for you. So we've got the idea now, the distinction between Gemini energy, constantly interested in all the ideas, seeking out more learning, more knowledge, communicating more, and Sagittarius energy, also about ideas and truth, but with a different focus. So if Gemini is ruling your seventh house, this tells you about your partnerships and your relationships. Seventh house rules relationships of all kinds, particularly one-on-one relationships. So this includes your romantic partner, life partner. It also includes friendships. It includes colleagues, work relationships, client relationships. Think any one-to-one relationship. Groups are more ruled in other areas of the chart, but any one-on-one relationship is governed here. So if Gemini energy is ruling your seventh house, what does this mean? Very often, the qualities of your seventh house will show up in your relationships, especially a primary relationship, a life partner, a romantic relationship. Does this mean that your partner is going to be a Gemini sun sign? No, of course not. It's much more nuanced than that. But it is likely that in some way your partner has these qualities that are showing up in your seventh house. The seventh house is all about relationships as a mirror, what's being reflected back to you. And very often we are drawn to a partner who has qualities that in some way you may be trying to embody, trying to learn, might in some ways be opposite of yours, or qualities you haven't fully embodied in yourself yet. Another way to say it is you may look for these qualities in a partner to allow yourself to feel whole. And this doesn't need to be a bad thing. It can simply be about allowing yourself to fully feel and experience all the parts of this polarity. So in some way, your relationships, your partnerships are likely to reflect being drawn to qualities of Gemini energy. Your partner, your friendships may hold a lot of qualities of Gemini energy. Another way this can play out is that Gemini qualities are simply important to you in a partnership. You value communication. You value lots of talking, lots of mental activity, lots of stimulation on a mental level. There's a last way to be aware of seventh house energy that can be really helpful, especially if you are a service provider, a business owner, you work with clients in some way. The seventh house is going to be interesting to look at because the dynamic between the seventh house and the first house is going to give you some kind of information about your clients and what they're seeking. So if the seventh house is in Gemini, and your first house, your public self, your you out in the world, is Sagittarius, truth, higher learning, exploration, expanding horizons, it's likely that there is some way that your clients hold and are Gemini energy, but they're looking for you. They're looking for your first house qualities, which in this case would be Sagittarius. There's going to be some way that these themes are showing up in the way your clients, your customers are seeking you out. And so understanding the seventh house qualities of those partnerships, of those relationships, of what is showing up to you is also helpful in understanding what those, what the partner, the clients, the friends are seeking in you. And of course, this goes for any kind of relationships as well. Your partner is likely drawn in some way to the first house qualities that you embody. So understanding the polarity here can be such a helpful part in better being in your relationship in a way that allows all this energy to flow and meet in a conscious way, rather than unconsciously pushing away from, disconnecting, making wrong what we don't understand or haven't fully owned yet. So I'll invite you to reflect on how this might be showing up for you. I would love to hear if you want to share with me in the chat. If you are a seventh house Gemini, a first house Sag, how does this show up for you in your relationships, in your partnerships? Please like and subscribe if this has been helpful. And if your seventh house is ruled by Gemini, then your eighth house will be ruled by Cancer. And we'll talk about this in the next video.